parenting isn't about perfection because people are not about perfection. Life is messy. Parenting's messy. So ease up on yourself. Guilt is not serving you at all. Hi, welcome to the BratBusters Parenting Podcast. My name is Lisa Bunnage. I'm a parenting coach. I'm a mother, and I'm also a grandmother. And I'm joined by my business partner, and my marketing specialist, and my planner, and also my daughter, all the same person, Amy Bunnage.
A lot of different hats there.
I got one hat, so.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Okay. So do you want to know what we're talking about today?
I never know, so I would like to know, yes.
Okay, we're going to be talking about parenting guilt.
Oh, good one. Good one. It's usually mom guilt. Dads are a bit different.
Why?
I'll explain. Oh, you want me to explain that now?
Yeah.
Okay. Dads are, moms go through the guilt. They go, oh, woe is me, woe is me. Dads tend to get angry, and if anything, they pull away because dads are fixers. Men are basically wired different from women. I'm sure we all know that. They're meant to fix. If they can't fix the problem, they either get angry and blow up or they shut down. They don't tend to go down the guilt trail. It probably is a little bit of guilt, but it manifests itself quite differently with men. So that, like I said, they either blow up or they shut down.
Interesting.
Or they blame the mother.
And
then she feels guilty, and yeah.
Well, do you think some people, though, just have a more guilty conscience? Like they...
Oh, we know. Of course they do. But men, I'm generalizing here, but men, I mean, I've worked with hundreds of families, so definitely men are fixers. And it's funny because whenever I say that and the husband's there, because then she'll say, it doesn't seem to bother him. He just blows up or goes and reads the paper or goes and whatever. And I say, yeah, but he's the fixer. It's bothering him. And every single husband will sit there and smile at me like, oh, you get it. Yeah. Just because I've worked with so many of them. Yeah, it does bother them. They just don't like to show it. They don't show their emotions the same way that women do.
Interesting. But do you find that some moms have more parent guilt than others, even though they shouldn't, and vice versa?
Oh, God, yes. Yeah. And I always say, when I'm coaching parents, and I say to the moms, you can feel as guilty as you want, but it's never going to serve you. So just while we're working together anyway, let it go. By the time we're done, you shouldn't have any anyway. Laugh it off. We all make mistakes, okay? Parenting isn't about perfection because people are not about perfection. Life is messy. Parenting's messy. So ease up on yourself. Guilt is not serving you at all. So just put it aside.
Do you find it's a hindrance sometimes?
Absolutely, 100%. What they do, this is what usually happens, is they'll try and be the pleaser, please their children, giving them choices for everything. Well, do you want to wear this or that? And then the kids throw the clothes across the floor, and then the mom will blow up, or the parent will blow up. So they go from pleaser to authority. In the middle there is what I teach. It's the leader. So, but yeah, they tend to be trying to overly compensate for the guilt of blowing up, and then they blow up because the kids take advantage of them. It's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So yeah, it's one extreme to the other. That's what I find. So yeah, it's a lot. And of course, some people feel more guilt. It's the same person that, like, if you give me a parking ticket, I would feel so guilty, I'd be apologizing to the parking attendant, whereas someone else would be telling them off, right? It's just different because I'm very accountable, but a lot of people aren't accountable. So they tend to get mad at other people instead of themselves. And it's the ones who get mad at themselves that feel the most guilt.
Yeah.
It's a personality trait.
Yeah, I definitely have a bit of a guilty conscience.
Oh, you're like me, for sure, for sure.
What would you say if you messed up and you have parenting guilt? Is there anything you can do? Like, do you make amends to your kids?
Depends on how recent it was and what you did. With teenagers, I don't know if I want to get into that. It's a bit more involved. I might. But with younger children, let's say you blew up and they did something really bad, like they threw the remote at the TV and broke it. You went berserk, right? You yelled at them. You grounded them for a year. You just went overboard, right? So what I would do after that is I'd say, look, you messed up. You broke the TV for sure. Here's the consequence. You have to pay part of it. They're just little kids, right? You have to pay a little bit towards that. There obviously won't be any TV for at least 24 hours or any screens or whatever. But I'm sorry that I blew up like that. So to make it up to you, I'm going to take you out for ice cream or do something, take them to an arcade or something. So you've got to apologize for blowing up. Because that's never fair. It's never the right thing to do. It's the human thing to do, but it's never the leadership thing to do. Like, leaders are very calm when they're disciplining, and because it scares kids. Your anger, your yelling scares them.
Let's say a parent is trying to work on this and they're going between that style of, trying to please the kids and then blowing up. And I know you always talk about How about you talk about the 4 steps to an apology, and then I'll ask my question.
Okay, there's 4 steps to a proper apology, and this is for adults and anybody. But I'm not big on apologies. The word I'm sorry, the 2 words, there's sort of a bit of a get out of jail free card. And then it's like, yeah, you're sorry. Now what? Doesn't do much for me. There's 4 steps to a good apology. And it's not what you do with kids, but it's the idea here. The first one is say you're sorry, just to get the ball rolling. The second one is you take accountability. Say it was all my fault. Don't say, I'm sorry I was late, but if you'd told me to get here early, don't blame the other person. A lot of people do that. That's that passive aggressive stuff. I said I was sorry, but then you blame me. The third one is make amends. What can I do to make it up to you? And then if the person says, oh, nothing, forget about it, still say, I'll tell you what, how about I buy the dessert tonight or something, so then you offer something. And then the 4th step is don't keep doing it again. If you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, the apology meant nothing. So yeah, say you're sorry, take full responsibility. The 3rd step is make amends. And the 4th one is don't keep repeating the same mistake.
So I think from there is like, I could imagine if you're used to this cycle, you might mess up a few times. So how do you navigate that if you're just messing up quite a bit?
Well, then make the amends bigger each time. That's
Okay.
what I would do. That's what I would do. I'd say take you out for ice cream. Now we're going to go to the arcade and get ice cream. Now we're going to go bowling, go to the arcade and get ice cream. Eventually you will learn. Okay.
Eventually you just can't go to Disneyland that many times.
That's right. Every weekend you're at Disneyland. But yeah, so you eventually will learn the hard way because we all learn through consequences. Adults, kids, that's how we all learn.
Yeah, that's kind of the premise of the behavior board.
Exactly. It's like here's a rule and here's the consequence. That's the amends. The consequence is the amends.
Okay. I think we might move into the questions. We just have a few. So Adelia from Germany. My son, who is 2, is very active, and I'm in my 1st trimester pregnancy for my 2nd. How do we keep my son busy but still have time to rest? I end up giving him so much screen time because I'm bloated and nauseous and tired. I feel guilty about it.
You feel guilty about being pregnant and nauseous and bloated and tired? Why? He will survive. I know it's a rough time. You know what? I was really sick with my daughter, this one here. Sick as a dog for 9 months. It was horrendous. And I had a 5-year-old I had to get to school. He was 4, just turned 5 when she was born. And I had to get him to preschool and everything. It was brutal. I could have cared less if he'd watched TV all night. I could have cared less. But yeah, he luckily was very good at entertaining himself. He was 4 years old. It's a little bit different. But I would do the toy rotation system. So he's got new stuff to do all the time. You're always rotating toys around. I would go to the toy library if you have one near you so you can get different toys. I would do toy trading with friends. So he has different stuff. And all of his toys should be something that start as nothing and he turns it into something. So it's like magnetic blocks or whatever. He has to turn it into something. It's something more creative. And you can start doing it with him, then go lay down and hopefully he'll finish it. Or you can do what I did. When my son was really little, I did this a lot with him actually, and I had a bad back. So I would lay down on the carpet in the living room and I would be the bridge. And he would get all of his train tracks and everything and his car tracks. And I was the mountain. I think I was the mountain. He had to put all of his train tracks over top of me. So even though you're right there and you're sort of playing with them, you just become the mountain, let him drive trucks all over you. I did that all the time with my son when my back was in pain. So yeah, you're still there, right? But it was funny because he was a baby when I started doing that because I always had a bad back. And anyway, so he was a baby when I started. And I would wake up if I was having a nap because I was in pain, and I'd wake up when he wasn't playing on me. I would just automatically wake up because him playing on me, I knew that I could just sleep because he was fine. And he thought we were playing together. He didn't know I was snoring. He didn't know what that was.
The amount of times I heard growing up, you made me nauseous for 9 months.
And you're going to keep hearing it. I'm never going to let go of that.
It wasn't on purpose.
I think it was. It was. I didn't know you could be sick for 9 months. I had no idea. And also I developed an arrhythmia with her pregnancy. So I had to have heart surgery after that.
That was just real fun.
The thing is, she was the easiest kid in the world. When she came out, it was like, oh, wow. She was a really easy baby and kid. So, yeah.
Just real high maintenance in the womb.
In the womb. Yeah. I'm not good at being pregnant. So anyway.
Okay. So we have the next question is Jassim from United Arab Emirates. My 3-year-old middle girl has recently started saying, "You don't love me, mommy," every time things don't go her way, which makes me feel guilty. I really try my best to be a leader, but I feel lost sometimes. How can I deal with this situation? I have 3 girls aged 5, 3, and 11 months.
Okay, she's saying it to manipulate. You've already answered what I normally say. Like, do they only, if they do that when you're on the Dumbo ride at Disneyland, you don't love me, then I would look into it. If they just didn't get their own way, you don't love me, I'd say, whatever, and just walk away. Yeah, there's no way. She's just manipulating you. They'll do anything to try and get their own way. They're gonna resort to anything. You don't love me, I hate me, everyone hates me. Alrighty then, I'm gonna go do the dishes. Yeah, just don't buy into it. It's pure manipulation when she's just doing it because she didn't get her own way. That's all it is. But like I said, if she does it, when you're doing something fun, you're out as a family, nobody loves me, I would look into that. But yeah, if she's just doing it to get you. Obviously, it's getting to you. She's doing it because it works, because it's bothering you. She would only do that once with me. I'd go, alrighty then, and then walk away. So they only do what works, and it must work. So it's bothering you.
What age do you find they start doing what works?
3.5, 3 years and 9 months to 4.
And before that?
Could be 3. Okay. They do what works. They start to lean into that. The more of a leader you are, the younger they are that they're going to start doing that. Go on.
Okay. I think we'll do the final question here is Christy from Canada. Toddler dawdles and plays all through getting ready for bed. So pajamas, teeth brushing, hair brushing, face washing. Playing instead of staying on task, using a timer if needed. Then argues and wants to hit, and often does. I feel guilty sending her to bed with no play or story or snuggle, but I've been to enforce no hitting and needing to cooperate. Also prays once she does cooperate and gets to enjoy play and story and snuggle after her bedtime routine. Please clarify if this is wrong and what to do.
Read the first sentence again.
Toddler dawdles and plays all through getting ready for bed.
Okay, stop. You're giving her the power to dawdle. If I had to get my kids in the bath, I would make it happen. It would happen regardless. If they're really having a fit and don't want to have a bath, I would get them in the shower because it's safer. We had a freestanding shower. But I would get them all cleaned up. I would make it happen. My kids learned from a very young age when I said, okay, bath time. They knew whether or not they wanted to, it was going to happen. That's why they never questioned me, because there was no anger in it. I'd just say, okay, bath time, and they'd just come along and have a bath because they knew either way it was going to happen. I do believe in giving kids choices, but not with stuff that has to happen. You give kids choices when you're playing with them. Then they can play. You say, what do you want to do? Then they're in charge of the fun. They're in charge of the play because you play in their world. You connect with them in their world. But yeah, when they had to have a bath or something, I made it happen. So I physically made it happen. So I'm guessing that child's 2. Just from the wording she was using, I'm thinking that child is 2.
Well,
so then
it says toddler. So
it says toddler, but a lot of people call a 4-year-old toddler. To me, a toddler is under 3. So anyway, let's just say it's 2. So anyway, then at bedtime, I'd say, okay, well, because I've done all that, forcing them. They probably are having a fit, but I'm very calm during it all. It's just making it happen. And I'm talking maybe about other stuff and, maybe not even at them, but I might just be talking to someone else and blah, blah, blah. So they know it's just going to happen. And then when I put them to bed, I might get a book out. If they're starting to have a fit, I'll say, okay, no book. And then I'd turn the lights out and leave the room. Have a nightlight though, so they're not scared. So this is a child, it's not a bedtime battle issue so much as a getting ready for bed battle. So once they go to bed, you say, okay, that's it then. They'll eventually learn because you were getting a book out, but then they started acting out again. So they're just learning that, wait a minute, when I act like a bit of a goofball, I'm not going to get any stories read to me. It's okay. Don't feel guilty about that. They will survive. Their reaction, their tantrums, their fits, their crying, their you don't love me, that's all just a bit of a show for you. So, yeah.
I feel like bedtime is something that you get asked about a lot.
It's pretty huge. It's by far my most successful method of everything I teach is bedtime. So you go through the motions, get them in bed, and you say, okay, bedtime. If you've got time to read to them, read to them. If not, that's their choice because 8 o'clock is bedtime. Like, oh, the alarm just went. Time for bed. Good night. That's it. And then you walk away. You say, don't get out of bed. Good night. Love you and all that stuff. So they chose not to have the cuddles. That was their choice. Okay. So don't feel guilty about that. And then you leave the room. And then when first time they get up, you can only do this part if they can get up, which you can't do it if they're in a crib. So anyway, you leave the room. If they get up, the first time you say, I said it's bedtime, stay in bed, and walk them back to bed. Kicking, screaming. Only one body part has to touch the bed. You don't have to tuck them in. You just have to put them back on the bed. And then they get up again right away, and you walk back slowly with them, and you say, bedtime. Every time after that, you don't look at them or talk to them. You slowly walk them back to bed. Almost yawning, like you don't even know you're doing it. calm as anything. And you might have to do it 50 times, might last an hour, might last 2 hours. It's by far the most successful method of everything I teach. It's one night of hell, but it's often just one night. And then they're proud of themselves. I just had a client today and she goes, bedtime's going great. I'm so proud. And she's so proud of herself too. She's being really good going to bed. Give them something to be proud of. When they're acting out and being rude and not doing what they're supposed to do, where's their pride? Where's their self-esteem? It's in the toilet. They got no pride and their self-esteem's in the toilet. Give them something to be proud of. So just follow through what needs to be done and then just do it. No anger. If you're angry, that's not leadership. I don't want them to see you angry at them when you're doing this stuff. Just stay calm. Say, oh, well, I hate you. Oh, well. See the calmness? What are you thinking inside? Yeah, you want to throttle them. They're driving you nuts, but don't show it. Hard to do? Yeah, but it's worth it. Once you get good at this, I just had a client recently and I said, I didn't know how you were going to do. This was a client who was really struggling with being mean. She thought leadership was mean, but I don't like them crying or having a tantrum. Oh, geez, okay. So, and she's doing really well now. She said, I get it. Leadership is kindness, because then you don't have all the tantrums anymore. If you keep giving into them and letting them control you, then it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. So it's easier to take charge now when they're little, especially if they're only 2.
I think that's a really good place to kind of go into more, is like, because I feel like in your videos and social media, a lot of them are about consequences and discipline, because that's what you get asked a lot about. And then it comes across as that's what you're totally focused on with leadership. But I think like even in the boot camp programs, like that's such a small part of it.
I actually wrote this down. Clients said, I did what you said. And when I was disciplining, when I was following through with this kid didn't want to do it. And the mom just followed through and made it happen. And she said, I did what you said. I stayed calm and happy. I never talk like that. I obviously do, because she said you said to do it. But coaching's different. I don't feel rushed when I'm in coaching. I'm going through more detail. But you don't just want to seem calm. You want to seem happy. Like, I'm fine. It's a good day out. Like this. You're not giggling like a lunatic, but you want to be like, you want to be joyous, happy, upbeat, positive, glass half full. It's a positive leadership. It's not just leadership in that you're ignoring. It's leadership in that you're calm and you're joyful, because joy makes you more attractive to people, even children. So I was a very goofy mother, and I used humor and play and fun with kids when I was working with them too. They're drawn to you because you're joyful, you're happy. So yeah, it was interesting. I don't think to mention that. I'm obviously doing coaching, but when I'm talking about it, when you're disciplining, stay calm, but you're also glass half full. You're positive. Like, this is just a little glitch. It's not a big deal. You're a happy person by nature. Just come across that way. I know you're miserable because your kids are acting out, but just put on them, okay, fine, good night, and that's it. See, kind of a bit of a cheery thing going on. It throws them off. That's why they often fight back harder initially when you start exercising this leadership. Because I used to be able to drag you down. You'd be crying and yelling at me, and now I haven't got that power over you anymore. And they'll fight back harder to get it back. They don't really want it, but they will still fight for control. But yeah. So yeah, stay calm when you're disciplining, but also happy. Anyway, my daughter, Amy, just mentioned something, and she said that I discuss discipline all the time because that's what people ask. That's not what I'm about at all. I'm about connecting, having fun, playing with kids, connecting in their world. It's about bonding with them and connecting and being friends with your kids. But you're always parent first. You're always that person they can tell anything to. They can come. You did. You told me.
Whether you wanted to hear it or not.
And I didn't always want to hear it. But yeah, everything. Because I was a safe place to land and I wasn't judgmental. I didn't tell them what to do. I was a good ear. And I'm a talker. I'm sure you've already seen that. But I'm a talker. It was hard, but I knew that's the way you do it.
And I'm not. And I still come to you with stuff.
You're not a talker.
I'm not a talker.
No, she keeps stuff bottled up by nature, but it always came out. Always. She might have to think about it for a bit, but it always came out. Always.
And I would assume, just backpedaling a little bit, when you're talking about playing with your kids, I would assume that would alleviate some parenting guilt too.
Well, because I balanced any discipline I had to do, I balanced with 99.9% of the time I spent with kids, my own and other kids, was fun. So if I had to ignore them for a bit or just, file my nails while they're tantruming, no guilt whatsoever because I'm playing with them.
I think that's such an important piece, because when I think of growing up, I don't think of really discipline at all. I think about a lot of the fun. And whenever you did, you're like, I'm on the phone, go do your own thing. And like, it never felt like, oh, mom doesn't love me. It was always just like, oh, okay, sure.
Well,
like,
you talk about me a lot nicer than I was. I would have said, I'm on the phone, scram. And they would have just toddled off, because I was a very involved mother. I played with them a lot. And even when I wasn't playing, I was still singing a lot in the house, and we were always chatting. And so there was a lot of bonding and connecting all the time with my kids and I. So if I did have to say scram, I'm on the phone, I wasn't guilty at all. And they didn't feel snubbed at all. So, but yeah, because most of my time was put into connecting and bonding. Now, when I was working with kids, I don't teach that stuff so much, but I was only with them for an hour at a time. So I had all that time to just connect. You're not connecting and bonding and playing with your kids 24/7, but that was the only leverage I had with kids, was taking away Fun Lisa or Funny Lisa with teenagers. And I'd say, oh, I didn't like what you just did. I'm just going to go real quiet for 60 seconds. And I'd go, and they say, sorry, Lisa. It's okay, 30 more seconds. But that's what I did when I was working with kids. All I had was taking away Fun Lisa. I wouldn't have had that if I wasn't fun. So what am I taking away? Serious, boring adult? No, I'm taking away Fun Lisa that makes them feel good about themselves and they can tell anything to. So they like that. I was a leader with kids. So, but you don't have to be doing that 24/7 with your own kids, but balance it out. Play with them a lot. Make them feel like they're fun. Did you feel I enjoyed you?
Oh, yeah.
God, yes. I loved it. I wallowed in mothering. So if they feel enjoyed and wallowed in like you really do like being with them, then why would they ever act out?
It's like an inner knowing. Your kids just know.
Oh, they do. Yeah. So,
or I would assume your kids just know. I mean,
they know you love them, but they don't always know that you enjoy them. That's the thing. And you want them to feel like when I worked with teenagers, one of them said to me once, he says, I didn't like myself till I met you. And it was because I truly got to know them and truly enjoyed their company. Not all the time. Trust me, not all the time. Certainly not initially. I had to work for that. But I know how to bring out the best in kids. So, and then they give you the best, right? When they feel good about themselves when they're with you, that's all you get is the best. So it's hard to do that. You gotta work for that. You gotta earn that. And that's what I teach.
Yeah, it's also accountability, because you weren't, what's the word? You weren't lying if I was acting out and everything. You weren't like, oh, this is so great. Like it made me feel like I had to be my best self or
just yourself.
Yeah.
I don't think you had to be your best self with me, but they were never rude to me.
Yeah. I don't know how to like properly articulate that.
Well, I made you feel good about yourself. So you were nice. Like when you feel good about yourself and the cause of it is that person that you're with, how do you treat that person? Right? Mm-hmm. I made you feel good about yourself.
It's like you saw that in me. It's like you knew that I was a good kid.
Oh, I thought you were great. Both of you were great.
I felt you knew I was a great kid.
You knew I was wonderful and special. You see?
Oh,
she knew it. She knew it. But I always told my kids too, I said, the sun shines out of your butts with me and your dad, but not out there in the world. You got to earn that with other people. Okay. So I didn't want them to be entitled.
Let's just make this clear. I don't go around thinking this with everything.
She doesn't. But when they were growing up, they knew how I felt about them for sure. The sun shone out of their butts. There's no two ways about it. But I never let anything go either. If they acted out, I would have gone, are you kidding me with this? Oh, sorry, Mom. Like they were, it was a very respectful relationship two-way.
Yeah, you saw me for what I was.
I always saw my kids for who they are, but I just thought they were great anyway. Like, like regardless of whatever they did, I thought they were great. She was particularly easy though. And that's nothing I did. She was just born that way. My son had tantrums. He was more normal. He's a great kid too. Don't get me wrong. He's 34. He's a dad now. But she was particularly easy. Everyone used to say, oh my God, what'd you do to deserve her? I don't know. She never cried. She never tantrum. She was just very amicable. You were very amicable. You didn't like confrontation. Even as a toddler, she didn't like confrontation. So was just easy.
Yeah, that can go both ways.
But she had a mouth on her though. She could talk. Yeah. You were quiet about your feelings. You had to think about that. But everything else, she taught. We had a pool in the backyard. One day she was 3 and she goes, look, Mommy. She goes, watch. So she pulled me underwater with her and she goes, I can talk underwater. And I thought, yeah, we all know. I can talk underwater. Yeah, so can I. So I relate. She's my daughter.
I never shut up.
Yeah, both my kids talked a lot, but so did I. So it was a very loud, funny household. So bring joy into the household too, because, and it's not just saying I'm going to play for 10 minutes, but just sort of try and be happy around your kids. You're going to see that reflect in them.
Okay. I feel like that's a really nice place to end.
Okay, good. Thanks so much for joining us. My name's Lisa Bunnage. My daughter is Amy Bunnage here. And I'm glad you watched or listened to BratBusters Parenting Podcast. We'll be back again next week.
Yep.
Every Tuesday. I never know what's coming up, but she does. But she's not telling me. Okay, thanks so much and happy parenting. Bye now.
Thanks for tuning in. If you're ready to dive deeper, check out BratBusters.com to learn more about the behavior board, parenting courses, and private one-on-one coaching with Lisa. The information provided in this podcast is for general informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional advice. Lisa is a parenting coach, mom, and grandmother. She is not a licensed psychologist or counselor. Her services do not replace the care of psychologists or other healthcare professionals. For a full disclaimer, please visit BratBusters.com/disclaimer.